So, welcome back to the next part of the video series here as we start to move into the mouth. As you can see, I've actually moved a little bit farther along right here in the face. I've actually added this next patch in here for the face over here into what goes into the cheek. One thing that I wanted to look at and show you as we see this smooth. If we look at this smooth, I can start to see the cheek kind of coming out and giving me some pronounced, let's maximize this. They've given me some pronounced deformations. If I came in here and like grabbed my, face mode polygons in here and kind of pull these out, you can see I'm getting that nice crease section between the transition from the cheek muscle to the nostril here. But one thing that I don't like, and I don't like the way that it's working, is that I've got this line, and realistically, if I were looking at a real, looking at the face, I can see that this line right here for where the corner of the eye is and where the corner of the nostril is, this line is being interrupted by this new line of polygons that flow across the bridge of the nose and around the nostril and down here. So, and then this goes back here, and this does some really weird stuff right here. So this is like an intersection where these two loops intersect at. 'Cause I've got this loop that goes around here, and then I've got this loop that goes around here. So I've got two loops that are kind of close to each other and they're matching up. What I would like this loop to do is be able to loop around here, but then also continue, and seems like it flows right here around into right around the nostril. So instead of these two loops, I want to make this into a kind of an infinite loop that kind of goes around and back down. And so I want to change the way that topology actually flows a little bit. And to do that, it's really simple. When you start modeling long enough, you're going to be able to see how you want line flow to go for your model, because like I say, when you're dealing with an organic model, it's all about edge flow and your topology layout. So you've got to understand how to be able to reroute topology, how to change it, how to manipulate it, and force it to do what you need it to do. So in that sense, one of the ways to do that is to cut in geometry, right? Not just extruding edges, but also to cut in some geometry. So what I want to do here is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select this. I'm going to make sure I'm in object mode when I do it. And when I'm in object mode, I'm going to hold down the shift key, right click. And the reason why I do it this way is because this gives me a very old tool. If I'm in object mode and I hold down the shift key and then right click, you'll see I get my marking menu to come up, but you'll see I have a split. So it shows me split, and it shows me the new interactive split tool, and it shows me, thank God, the old school split polygon tool. That's the one that I want. I am just a fan of the split polygon tool. I really don't like the new interactive tool. It's a little bit buggy. Hopefully later on they'll get it figured out, but right now it's very buggy to me, and I don't like that. I don't really enjoy the way that it works inside of Maya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut right here and cut right there and hit enter to finish my cut off. Now the first thing you're going to scream at me, and I know you should, you're going to say, D, you had all quads and you went and flubbed it up by putting two triangles in there. Like, why did you do that? Now you have a triangle here and a triangle here. All right? Well, that's not an issue, because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this vertex right here. So let's grab that guy right there. Let's line that up a little bit. So I'm going to grab this guy right here, and I'm going to snap it up to here. All right? So I've got that snap right up to there. And I'm going to pull that down to right there. So now you see that this loop around the eye is, this kind of spirals around and right, it just kind of does what it needs to do. But what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to go into merge that, and then right here for this guy right here, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to delete that edge out and go back into vertex mode, do some adjustments. All right, But what you'll see is now that I've made that adjustment, this actually works a lot better for the flow of my polygons around my nose going into from my eye to my nose transition. I like this a lot better, the way that this actually goes. So you can see now, if I go back in here to face mode, you can see that I still have, this loop that goes around here, and then I've got this new loop that goes around here. So I've got this other loop started to go around here, and then I still have my original loop that, loops around the eye this way. So I like this loop a lot better than the older one because you can see this loop now goes around, goes in the nostril, goes up in here, and terminates out. But I think that this actually works a lot better for my model, just for aesthetic looks. It also works a lot better for topology flow because now I can bring this in. You can see right there. If I brought that way in like that, which I don't think I want to do that, but you can see how if I needed to give more definition to the nose, then I really could because I have this nice clean loop going around here now. So that that helps out a lot being able to see it that way. So let's go back in here and let's actually finish what we were going to start. Let's finish what we started from before. So let's drop this back down to 1. Go in here to edge mode. Let's grab these edges, and I'm just going to extrude them all in unison, all the way down to the lip, to the top part of the lip. And I already know I'm going to have to add in some additional cuts, but I at this point I really just, that's not an issue. I just know I have to add those cuts in there. I'm going to go in here and clean this up a little bit. Because the one thing you do not want in organic modeling, you do not want a bunch of up and down straight lines. Straight lines are bad when it comes to organic modeling. They make your model look very angular, and that's what you don't want. The whole point of an organic piece is to make it look organic. So if you have these very symmetrical lines in it, it's going to make it look very robotic, which is what you don't want. All right. So let's get these straight up and down lines out of here. The lines are a lie. We don't want those in there. All right. So looking at this right now, looks pretty good. Bring these over. This is over here. So let's just come over here some a little bit. So this looks, relatively good where I have it at, and I'm liking what I've got so far. Get these from the side, moving in the direction they need to move in. So these need to probably come up some. This comes out a little bit more. This comes out. This comes out. And this guy right here comes out. So what I need to do right now, I'm going to go in here to edge mode. And I'm just going to insert a loop edge right here. And with that loop edge still selected, I'm just going to move this down just a tiny bit. So now you can see how easy and quick that was to get that stuff really in there and get what I needed to get out of this topology here. So you can see, and this is where you really want to be. This is where you really want to be at. Your density, when you're doing an organic model for a face, your density should be in areas that need to deform. So for your human character, more than likely, you're probably going to have a talking character. At least I hope. Hope your character's not a mute. But you're probably going to have a character that talks. You're probably going to have the need for a character that has talking and things of that nature. And what you really want to be able to do is put a lot of deformation and density around the areas that do deform, like the eyes, the mouth. That's where your real density should be at. It shouldn't just, be all over the place. It really should be in these key areas, like around the eye, around the mouth, the neck, not as much. When you get to the back of the head really doesn't deform. So there's no need to have all that high density mesh going throughout the back of the head. Another very simple mistake that a lot of young modelers make is that when they have these high density areas like this, like the eye and the mouth, that they continue to take those same lines and take it throughout the whole entire head. Now, I can already tell you that's a big, big, big no-no. Those edges don't need those. Those lines shouldn't run throughout the whole entire head. That just makes no sense. Like there's no point in it. If you're doing that, if you're already doing things like that, stop. Please don't do that. You're gonna make your life a living hell. What you need to do is understand how to work with your topology and move your topology in and be able to work your topology onto itself without causing, you know, all this line work to continue up through the entire head. You need to understand how to properly use things um, like L turns and learn how to use U turns in your models and L turns in your models, using diamond quads, things of that nature that can help to decimate down your meshes and give you a really good look, but give you less to have to, fret about and worry about as you're building your model. So right here, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off down for the bottom of the mouth. I'm going to do it in both axes at one time. Just going to move it in the front and side views at the same time. Just come through here. Not a problem. And where I need additional cuts at, I'll just put them in. So let's probably put this right about here. And one last extrusion. This will get me to center. Right here. So, seeing this now, I'm going to go in here and go to vertex mode and grab these guys. And just seeing this stuff and seeing it start to come together, you should start to feel a sense of pride about what you're doing because you are actually building out your 3D model. And at this point, if you've taken heed of some of the advice that I've given you, your model should look fairly good at this point. You've got most of the face done. That stuff's really cool. Let's go in here and look at this in perspective. So you've got most of the face done. Let's turn off our reference just for a second. And we can see this. Let's go ahead and select it. Let's throw a proxy 3 on it. But you can see I've got my nostrils in there. I've got my eyes in there. I'm going around and getting the muscles, and well, not muscles, but just the actual topology laid out the way that I need to. And things are kind of coming together the way that I want them to be. And the model overall is looking like it's in a really good place. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to finish off the complete mouth. Like go ahead and finish the mouth off completely. And we're going to start to take this topology here and move this up the brow and start to show how this finishes out and then finish out the rest of the face, and we'll get started on that stuff right after this.